Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name's Mike and today we're going to be doing an unboxing and an overview of the ASG MK23 which you see in front of you. So this is a fairly cheap airsoft gun. This is £55 by itself, which is surprising for a gun that's pro grade, as in something you can actually use in a skirmish. I bought it from BZ Tactical and I used a 10% Christmas code to get 10% off. I also bought a spare magazine as well, but that's not pertinent to this review. So the box it came in is very basic. It's what you expect for a cheap gun. There's polystyrene and sort of a cover, and that's about it. We get a nice picture of the gun on the front, get some information, an accessory rail, adjustable hop-up, and a barrel extension included. Which is nice, Novrich. They got it right with this one. Nothing really else interesting on the box, so we're just going to move that aside. Next, like with every gun, we get a documentation manual. Honestly, I've had a browse through this. It doesn't really tell you much. It tells you a little bit about the gun, so the barrel extension, the front sight, safeties, and everything like that. But this isn't exactly a thick manual, and only a little bits in English. I mean, it does tell you some essentials, basic working the gun. But honestly, if you've had an airsoft gun before and know anything about it, you're going to be fine. After that, the box is pretty basic. Now, we have some BBs here, and these are ASG BBs, which normally, BBs that come with a gun, I would say throw them away immediately, but because these are ASG ones, I would use them. They're probably .2s, so there's nothing fancy about them, but we're just going to leave them in the box. And then we have two things. We have the barrel extension, which is obviously a suppressor that does have a inner barrel extension inside of it, which does in fact move with the gun, so when it goes into position, the barrel moves slightly. And we have the gun itself. So now we have the actual gun. We're going to do this Garand thumb style, and we're going to go tip to butt, talking about the pistol. So the muzzle is threaded, and it does not come with a thread cover if you intend to use it without it. So if you intend to use the gun without the barrel extension or putting your own barrel on it, then I would consider buying one, just to protect those threads in case you ever do want to use it, because you don't want to bust them up. Also, it does protrude out the gun a fair bit, so it can catch on things, so it's just a good idea to get barrel extension. I will say this is not standard airsoft threading. I believe this is 16mm counterclockwise threading, where normal airsoft is 14mm counterclockwise threading. So if you're going to use a normal adapter and not for a suppressor that's not the one that came in the box, you will need a adapter for that. The front, we have a front sight post. We'll do both sight posts while we're at it. They're just blacked out. There's nothing really interesting. They're kind of hard to see, in all honesty, once you've got the suppressor on and you're seeing other things. But they're also not the absolute worst in the world. But remember, this is £55. We do have an accessory rail underneath, which you can use, well, to mount accessories. To give it a test, we have my VFC Umarex Glock 17 here, which I have a flashlight on. Let's leave it on the table for a bit of eye candy. And let's try putting it on here. Okay, so normal accessories won't work. It's probably, you've got to have some sort of replica LAN laser unit that you get with the Tokyo Marines. So that does not work with normal pistol mount options. There's probably, again, adapters you can get for it, but straight out of the box, you can't use that. So, working our way back. Now, this gun is a bit odd, although it's like other Mark 23 variants. But if you don't know about them, and this is your first time looking at a video on them, it's something useful to know. This gun has two safeties. So this, which looks like a slide release, and on the real weapon is a slide release, is actually safety number 1. When that's engaged, you can't pull the trigger. Let's take the magazine out for a minute. When that's engaged, you cannot pull the trigger. When it's not engaged, obviously you can pull the trigger. The second safety is at the back here. Now this safety does not engage when the hammer is forward like this. The hammer has to be in its cocked position. That's when you can engage that safety. This safety is ambidextrous. However, obviously the slide release is not. Now this part here, this is a fake decocker. So in the real gun, you can have it cocked and you pull this thing down and it drops the hammer safely without firing the weapon. Obviously this is airsoft and also this is molded in, so that does absolutely nothing. It's part of the plastic. And again, just for reference, so this is a slide release, or this is the slide release on here, which works as a safety. Again, this is a blowback, my VFC Glock 17. That slide release actually works as a slide release. So down here we have the magazine release catch. Now this is ambidextrous, as you can see it's on both sides of the trigger guard, which is really nice, and it gives you some options if you want to use your thumb to release the trigger, release the magazine, or if you want to use your index finger on the other side. It gives you some options. It is a bit different from normal magazine releases, which is on the side. So this is fairly common. Like we'll go on here on my Glock 17. It's also here on my Tokyo Marui high capper. On this gun, it's a push down, which works actually fairly well. Now have a look at the trigger. So because this is a non-blowback, the slide doesn't, work the action. It doesn't do anything like that. It doesn't move. The entire function of the weapon is done off of the trigger. Now it's a single and double action trigger. If you don't know what that means, basically it means the trigger operates the hammer in two ways. So you can either do a long pull where it cocks the hammer and fires it in one stroke. That's what a double action trigger does. Or you can put it in, or you can use it as a single action trigger where you manually pull the hammer down and then you can release it that way, which gives you a lighter pull, which allows you to take a much more accurate shot because you're not putting as much pressure on your finger, which can cause the weapon to move to the side. Let's see if I can demonstrate that. So single action, I can keep it relatively straight. Double action, you can see it moves ever so slightly as I'm putting it. That's what I'm trying to demonstrate at least. Like with pretty much every pistol, the magazine goes into the bottom, goes in just like that. And again, because it's a non-blowback, again, compared to the Glock, when you load the Glock, you need to put the magazine in and you need to rack the slide to load that initial BB into the chamber. With the Mark 23, you don't need to do that. You literally pop the magazine in and it's done. It's like an AEG in that regards, where you don't have to rack the slide or do anything. Now, I've seen different figures that the magazine holds 25 or 28 rounds. I'll put the correct one on screen. I'll count it in a bit. And because it's non-blowback, it's really gas efficient, and you can get about 60 to 80 shots of this out of a full magazine full of gas. So initially, the magazine was not feeding correctly. So what I ended up having to do was to take a file. I took a round file, and I had to file down these feed lips. Because if you can see on this picture on screen now, the feed lips of the magazine as it comes, they don't have this little circle almost filed into it, into the feed lips. And what that was doing, it was causing unreliable feeding, it was causing jams, and it was causing the BBs to occasionally all just kind of poof and jump out of the magazine as I was loading it. Now, that is something that I feel like ASG should fix, It's not exactly hard, it's just changing the molds or filing it down at some point. It's an easy fix to do, but it's a new gun, you shouldn't have to immediately fix it. Other guns you don't have to, like I've used my Glock a lot today, but this is the feed lips from my Glock. I don't know how easy it is for you to see, but there are rounded feed lips on this magazine, and also on my high capper, there's rounded lips on that too. It just helps the BB feed better, and is something that I had to do on both my magazines, and it's something that you might have to do as well. No BBs in the magazine, and there's no BBs in the chamber because they don't stay there. But this is how quiet the gun is without the barrel extension. Now I'll add the barrel extension. If you take the inner barrel out of the barrel extension, it will be quieter. It will be quieter than it is going to be. It's worth a note. But now, as you can tell, it changes the audio signature of the weapon a fair bit. But also you can tell it changes the size profile of the weapon a lot as well. So let's move that and compare it to a Glock. This is a Glock 17, so it's a full-size pistol. Then let's also then compare it, if we can get them all in frame. That's comparing it all to a 4.3 high capper. So you can see, let's put them on top of each other. It's quite the chonk. It's not a small gun at all. I mean, look at this difference in that trigger guard there. Now, apart from a few bits like the outer barrel, the safety here, the trigger, the magazine release, the hammer, the externals are all plastic. I would not say they're on Tokyo Marui's grade of plastic exteriors. However, again, let's remember £55 compared to the Tokyo Marui Mark 23, which is, I think, about retailing for about 120, 130, 140, depending where you look. I would definitely say it does feel more akin to those cheap £20 spring guns that you can buy. It's closer to that than it is to a Tokyo Marui. You could definitely feel the plastic, which again, £55, it's to be expected. Now, to get to the hop of this gun, I found it to be a bit of a pain in the ass. So I'm going to show you how to get to it. First of all, you're going to need a tool. I'm going to use this Allen key here, just because it's what I've got to hand. So first of all, there is a little notch on the slide, or on the like near the pin of the slide release here, and there's a notch cut in there on the slide. We're going to move it so that the notch is by the cutout. I'm going to hold that in position. Then with my other hand, I'm going to use the Allen key. Try not to mess up the plastic, and I'm going to push it out. There we go. It takes a bit of force, at least on my one. We can now persuade that to come out, put that aside, and the gun comes apart, he says. There we go. So the hop-up adjustment wheel is here. Now, taking it off is fairly easy. I find it quite hard putting it back together. So the way I managed to do it is I angle the slide at the back here. It's probably going to be some cuts as I do this. Oh, there we go. Moved it there. Move it forward and back, and it's in position. Now, all we do is repeat what we did earlier. Match the cut up of the slide with the hole. Then we can just push, slide release in, and do a function check. Done. Right, so now we're going to chrono the gun to see how it's doing. First of all, we're going to chrono it without the barrel extension, and then we're going to chrono it with the barrel extension. I'm going to be using Wee Green Gas and ASG 0.25s. Chrono 1, set to 2.5s. Load in the gun. And again, we don't need to rack the slide. We'll be good if I turn the safety off though. 248, 244, 244, 249, 250. Right, and now we're going to put on the barrel extension. Barrel extension's on, chrono's reset. It's become quite long. 272, 293, 280, 292, 292. So fairly consistent. And obviously with the barrel extension, with the inner barrel currently in there, because there's a mod you can do to remove the inner barrel, so it's just a suppressor, that ups the power. However, I've heard that the accuracy goes down when you use the barrel extension with the barrel in it, because, you know, it's not one single bit of barrel, so it can knock the BB slightly off flight. I don't know if that's true, but that is what I've heard. Okay, so my initial thoughts on the gun are that after the mag fiasco, that so far, just in testing, it's actually been working. It's been working fine. The power is about as expected. I just mentioned a lot about the plastic. I'm not trying to say it's massively negative, because it does make the pistol light. And considering the size of it, I like that it's quite light. I try to carry as little kit on me as possible, so I'm more maneuverable. So that's not a bad thing. However, I really can't get over how much of a pain it is to have to fix the magazine straight out of the box. It's not something you should have to do on a gun. What I will be doing, I'll keep it stock for a while, but I will not be using this barrel extension or suppressor. I've got an adapter coming to use a better suppressor to make it a bit quieter. And you know, I've bought a sneaky sidearm. Wonder what that's. Wonder what's coming from to the channel with with this little hint. But anyway, I hope you liked the video, hope you enjoyed the unboxing. Review will be up as soon as I've had some more time with it, along with everything else. Like, subscribe, all that crap, and have a good day.